Well, that's some way to secure your berth in the knockout rounds. Australia gunned down the highest target ever chased without the loss of a wicket in Women's World Cup history and the second highest in all women's ODIs. They beat Bangladesh by 10 wickets and become the first team to enter the semi-finals of the Women's ODI World Cup 2025. Here's what we learned from match number 17 in Vizag. There were two changes in Australia's 11, with Sophie Molyneux and Kim Garth sitting this one out and Darcy Brown and Georgia Wareham replacing them. But more than the change in personnel, there was a change in approach because Australia bowled more overs of spin in this game than at any of their previous games at this World Cup so far, and their spinners gave them more wickets than they had in any of the previous games. 6 for 88 in the 26 overs between Ashley Gardner, Alana King and Wareham. Gardner was the one who broke the game open for Australia. She got the wickets of Rubia Haider and Sharmin Akhtar in quick succession after Bangladesh were off to a solid start. And then King and Wareham, they accounted for the rest of the Bangladesh batting core, and they were just miserly. 80 dot balls in the 17 overs that they bowled between them, conceding just 40 runs. Bangladesh's batters had showed an uptick against South Africa at the same venue 3 nights ago when they posted 232 for 6 and also seemed to find a template to post a challenging total. They started on a similar vein against Australia and seemed quite comfortable at about 70 for 1 around the 17th over. But from then, once the spinners applied the brakes, Bangladesh just couldn't find themselves back. They failed to rotate strike, they kept losing wickets at regular intervals, and all of this happened on what was still a very good surface to bat on. It needed Sobhana Mostari's unbeaten half-century to take them to 198 for 9, and that too came because Australia were in a particularly benevolent mode. And that takes us to six drop catches from Australia. When was the last time you saw that happen? Rubia Haider got 2 lives, Shorna Akhtar got 2 lives, and then Sobhana Mostari was dropped twice in the final over of the innings. Just for perspective, Australia had dropped a total of 9 catches through their 2022 World Cup winning campaign. After this outing, Australia have now dropped 13 in 4 games so far at this World Cup. And just before this World Cup, in their last 6 games, they had also dropped 13 catches. So perhaps there's an area for Australia to seek improvement in, which is not something we get to say quite often. But while Australia will have something to guard against, the world now needs to guard against Alyssa Healy. When she gets on a roll, she shows no signs of stopping. She had famously scored back-to-back hundreds in the knockout stages of the 2022 ODI World Cup. That saw her join Debbie Hockley as the only batter with back-to-back centuries at the Women's World Cup, and she's now doubled her tally of back-to-back tons. She was sensational on Sunday against India, and she continued to remain on top of her game tonight against Bangladesh. This for a batter who had 7 games where she hadn't crossed 30. So if at all there were any concerns and you thought there was any opening at the top of the order, that has been knocked out of the park by Healy. She'd also be pleased as Australia captain with the runs that Phoebe Litchfield got, her first 50 at a World Cup. And that partnership between them, 200 plus, was a record association for any wicket while chasing in the Women's World Cup.